live updates coming in from the national capital, where the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken meeting External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar for the 5th India-US 2+2 ministerial dialogue that is being held today. The Indian side of the dialogue being led by also Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh and Dr. S. Jaishankar. This is happening for the first time since the beginning of the Israel-Hamas war. Top ministers from India and United States meeting today in New Delhi.
But this meeting, this visit of yours, I think has a particular significance because one, we need to follow up on the Prime Minister's June visit and the President's coming here in September. And two, of course, this is a 2+2, so we take a broader view of what we're doing. And then, of course, as Quad members, there's the Indo-Pacific that we're focusing on. One last word, I think we had a very successful G20 summit in September, and I do want to thank you, the US government and President Biden on behalf of Prime Minister.
Thank you, Jai, very much. It's always wonderful to be in India. We're building on a rather remarkable year of engagement, and I think it's just evidence of the fact that we have not only the strongest bilateral partnership we've ever had, but also a regional one and indeed a global one. And that was further evidenced by India's leadership of the G20 this year. And as Jai said, we have a lot to do, including with our defense colleagues. So I'm very much looking forward to that. And I think it's further evidence of our resolute focus from the United States on the Indo-Pacific, our region for the future. And the future is actually now, and we're building it now, and we're building it together with India. So I look very much forward to good conversations. Very good to be back.
And as far as later, the joint briefing that will be held as far as followed then by a bilateral between Rajnath Singh and Lloyd Austin as well. But there are inside details that are now coming in, especially when it comes to the issues that are all likely to be discussed and to be taken up. Srinjoy, if you can take us through the details, please.
Yes, this meeting has just got over, and there were two major issues that were discussed in this one-hour meeting. The first relates to West Asia, which basically means the war that is going on between the Hamas and the Israelis. That definitely came up during the discussions. The other thing that we heard was that the Indo-Pacific came up. The Indo-Pacific really is a euphemism for China. Chinese aggression, and also not just in the South China Sea, but in the Indian Ocean area, in the Himalayas, and so on. So Indo-Pacific definitely came up in the briefing. And what is important to note is that both sides spoke about a rules-based order. A rules-based order really means that there are laws of the world, there are international rules, there are international regulations, and they have to be followed. That's a very clear thing.
Right. What about the strategic technology collaborations and nuclear cooperation as well? Let's break that story of more inside details that are now coming in. Of course, the Indo-Pacific issue that is being discussed and talks on Israel and Hamas war that has been taking place. But it is also important to note that the United States may bring up the Indo-US nuclear deal as well and a need to operationalize it. Yes, Srinjoy.
Yes. As I had mentioned earlier, the Indo-US nuclear deal is something that the Americans are keen to bring up, because the Americans have been saying that, look here, the deal was signed a long time ago, about 15 years ago. So let's operationalize it, which basically means let's find a way, keeping aside liability and all that, of having American manufactured nuclear reactors in India. Now, that issue has another positive, because this will help in reducing greenhouse gases emissions. So that's an issue the Americans are very keen on working. The other issue that is very important for both America and India is, as you rightly said, strategic cooperation, which basically means what? In the Indo-Pacific, India and America have to work very closely together, whether in terms of operations, whether in terms of intelligence, and so on. Besides that, of course, another area of great interest for both America and India is terrorism and cooperation to fight terrorism. Now, when terrorism comes up, naturally the AFPAC area comes up. while the Americans have withdrawn from the area, nevertheless, it's particularly important for them. They have a role to play, and they are making it very clear that they will work together as far as terrorism is concerned with India. That's
of course, we're getting the
big
live pictures
plus.
from outside the hotel where these talks, these meetings are taking place, and this meeting that aims to actually review the progress in cross-cutting aspects of defense, of security cooperation, and the futuristic roadmap for India-US partnership. Srinjoy, thank you very much for joining in. Those are the live pictures coming in. We'll continue to get you the ground updates back after a short break. You're watching Times Now.